All right, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to show you the next step for your half drawing self-portrait. If you see here, what I did was I looked for the basic shapes or the basic contours and outlines of my facial features and my head and my hair, shoulders, neck, chin, and all those features where there are defining lines that separate different colors and different shapes, and I outline those. The next step is to start adding shading. You can use the two methods that we've used before, the connect the dot method. If you want to look for darker shapes, you can use that. For instance, if I want to find where this dark shadow is on my neck, I can map it out by using the dot method. So I'm going to show you that now. I'm going to look to see where that edge ends. If I squint my eyes, I can see that there's a darker shape right here. And so I can map out very lightly where that shape is and then shade it in. Goes down like this, down here, curves up, and then it goes right here. This part is a little bit lighter, but I'm just looking for little differences in color. So if I do that, I could shade that in. The other thing that is really helpful, as I mentioned before, is looking for those darker shapes. And if you squint your eyes, practice that now, you'll see that you can tell a lot more easily where the dark shapes are on your image. Like this part of my cheek, or my eyelid, or the dark shapes in my hair. This little shadow here, can you see that when you squint, how it kind of pops out? And right here. My goal is to shade as close as possible to what my actual photograph looks like. So I'm going to start on the nose. Now you will need the correct pencil. If you look at this one, it is an HB, and the HBs are very hard leads, so it does not draw very dark. You'll want to be using a 6B pencil. It says it right here. 6B has a very soft lead. That means you can color a lot darker. Also, these Prismacolor ebony pencils are really great for drawing dark as well. It's really dark lead and it's very soft as well. So for my nose, I'm going to look for the darker sections, and I'm actually going to hold my pencil on its side as if you're picking it up off the table, and I'm going to keep it like that. Make sure your pencil is nice and sharp, and I'm looking for the darker shapes. I'm going to move my picture up a little bit. I had marked this a little bit before. I'm just going to use the side of my pencil. You can shade in circles or in strokes, and I'm going with the curve of my cheek there. By using the side of my pencil, I don't have as many strokes, and under my nose I see a darker shadow if I squint, and then underneath my nose as well there's more of a shadow underneath. And I'm going to add my shadow a little bit darker right here, and then it does get lighter. So I'm working with how my face curves. It might look strange. It kind of looks like I have a mustache right now, and it will look kind of goofy when you only shade certain parts of your face. So you just have to be patient. I'm going to shade in this darker area here. And then my upper lip, is that lighter or darker than my skin? If you squint, you'll easily be able to see that it is darker actually. And if you compare your top lip to your bottom lip, a person's top lip is usually darker than their bottom lip. And that is because your top lip angles down. And so generally when you're standing anywhere, the light is coming from above, and so your top lip has more of a shadow underneath it. And I'm just going to shade in a little bit. Notice right here, that's the lightest part of my upper lip. So I can erase out as well if I want to. but it does have some tone. My face is not pure white. Oops. If you get streaks, you can erase those out. That is kind of the shadows on my upper lip. And I'm going to continue adding some shadows of my cheek here, but making sure that it's darker in that little crease where I'm smiling. The top part of my nose itself is shadowed towards the bottom. And right inside by my nostril is darker. And then there's a shadow along the bridge of my nose a little bit, because you can see the bridge of my nose is lighter than right here by my eye socket. Your eye socket literally goes back inside your skull, so it makes sense that it would be a little bit darker because the light doesn't quite get to it as much. Just being very gentle with the side of my pencil. I can always darken shadows if I need to. Like I said, it does look a little strange, but that's the process. It will look weird before it makes sense. Just like my eye looks kind of goofy right now. The next step is blending it. I like to use my finger, usually my pointer finger or my ring finger, so I don't make too much of a mess. But if you smudge the pencil lines, you can blend it more easily so it looks a little bit more natural with how your shadows are. I'm going to shade, I see a little bit darker underneath my nose here. And I'm just going to build up my shadows, squinting my eyes to double check to make sure I have the shadows in the correct spots. One thing that gets a lot of people by surprise and frustrates people is the teeth. You do not want to outline all of your teeth, every single one. That is going to look very weird. So instead of outlining each tooth, erase on top of the tooth in between and focus on shading your gums just lightly, and then the bottom part of your teeth. By leaving a little place of white where you don't outline the whole tooth, it will look more natural than if you were to outline them totally with pencil. That's a big mistake people make when drawing teeth. Don't outline totally. My upper lip, I'm just going to go down and work on that. Notice there's a little highlight on my lip. It's dark, it gets light if you squint, and then it gets dark again. So I'm going to try to copy that highlight. I'm going to shade underneath. And then it is a lot darker underneath my lip because there's a shadow cast because my lip sticks out. So that is how you shade your nose and your mouth. That is one step of that process.